Jai Hind children, welcome back to our science class. This is the second class of chapter Heat. Before start, let us recall what we studied in the previous class.
Last class we studied about the hotness and coldness of a body, then about temperature. Then what do you mean by temperature? The reliable measure of hotness of a body is called temperature. Then what do you mean by thermometer? For measuring temperature we use thermometers. Then different kinds of thermometers used for different purposes, isn't it? In this part, we are going to learn about transfer of heat. Let us go through some examples. Why does the mercury rise when you place it under your tongue? Mercury gets heated and expands. This causes the mercury to rise in capillary tube. And what heats the mercury? Your body temperature, isn't it? So heat that flows from your mouth to the glass bulb, then to the mercury. Next, what happens when you touch an ice cube? Your finger feels cool because heat flows from your finger to ice cube. Then what happens when you touch a cup of hot coffee? Your finger feels hot because heat flows from hot cup to your finger. Do you know why a frying pan becomes hot when kept on a flame? It is because the heat passes from the flame to utensil. So, what do you infer from the above examples? You can understand that the heat flows or transfers from hotter object to a colder object, that is from a body at a higher temperature to a body at a lower temperature. So heat is a form of energy and it flows from one object to other object or is transferred from one place to another when there is a difference in temperature. Heat can flow or travel through solids, liquids, gases and even through space or vacuum. Is this heat transfer process same in all type of mediums? Heat transfers or travels differently through different mediums. There are three different ways in which heat travels. They are conduction, convection and radiation. Here I have a metallic spoon and I imagine holding a match underneath side. At first, the portion of spoon just above the flame gets heated and after some time, the spoon as a whole gets heated up to the end. The reason this happens is because of conduction. Heat travels from one end of the spoon to the other through conduction. Now, we can do a simple activity to understand this conduction process better. Take a metal scale. Fix some nails on this scale by using wax and keep the entire setup fixed at one end. Now hit the other end of the scale and observe. What happens to the nails fixed with wax and which nail falls the first? Do the heat gets transferred from the end nearest to the flame to the other end? Okay, let us see the activity. Have you all seen the activity? What you observed? The nail closest to the flame fell first, while the one farthest from the flame fell last. This shows that heat travels gradually from the hot end of the scale to the cold end. Isn't it? If you had placed another metal scale in contact with the first, it would also have become hot after some time. So, the process by which heat is transferred from the hotter end to the colder end of an object or from a hot body to a colder body in contact with it without any movement of the body itself is called conduction. In solids, generally heat is transferred by the process of conduction. In other words, conduction is the flow of heat through a substance without the movement of the substance itself. Remember, for heat to be conducted from one body to another, they must be in contact with each other and at different temperatures. Do all substances conduct heat easily? All substances do not conduct heat with the same ease. The materials which allow heat to pass through them easily are called conductors of heat. Examples: aluminium, iron, copper, etc. The materials which do not allow heat to pass through them easily are called poor conductors of heat or insulators. Examples: rubber, wood, etc. Water and air are poor conductors of heat. Most metals are good conductors or simply conductors, silver being the best. Liquids and gases in general are poor conductors of heat, but mercury is an exception. If liquids and gases are poor conductors of heat, how does heat travel through them? It travels by a process called convection. Take a round bottomed flask and fix it to a stand or place it on a tripod. carefully place crystals of potassium permanganate at the bottom of the flask. Now heat the flask. What you observe? See, when water is heated, the water near the flame gets hot. Then hot water rises up and the cold water from the sides moves down towards the source of heat. This water also gets hot and rises up. And again water from the sides move down. This process continues till the whole water gets heated. This mode of heat transfer is known as convection. Thus, heat is transferred from one part of the water to another by the actual movement of the water itself. The molecules of a fluid actually move after taking heat from the source. So, what do you mean by convection? The process of transfer of heat in a liquid or a gas by the actual movement of the liquid or gaseous molecules is called convection. Mostly in fluids. Fluids means liquids and gases including air. Heat is transmitted by the process of convection. This does not happen in solids. Just now we saw how heat travels in water. Then how does the heat travel in air? In which direction does the smoke go? The air near the heat source gets hot and rises. The air from the sides comes in to take its place. In this way, the air gets heated. The following activity confirms this idea. Light a candle. Keep one hand above the flame and one hand on the side of the flame like that in figure. Do your hands feel equally hot? If not, which hand feels hotter and why? Notice that towards the top, the air gets heated by convection. Therefore, the hand above the flame feels hot. On the sides, however, there is no convection and air does not feel as hot as at the top. Now, let me ask one thing. Have you heard about sea breeze and land breeze? The sea and land breezes which blow in coastal areas are actually due to convection. The people living in the coastal areas experiences an interesting phenomenon. Cool breezes from the sea will blow during the daytime while warm breezes will blow from the land during the night. Let's take a look. During the day, sun will warm both the land and sea, but land gets heated faster than the water. The air over the land will also warm up faster than the air that's just above the water. So, the air over the land becomes hotter and rises up. The cooler air from the sea rushes in towards the land to take its place. The warm air from the land moves towards the sea to complete the cycle. This results in sea breeze. So, what do you mean by sea breeze? The air from the sea moves towards the land. This is called sea breeze. At night, it is exactly the reverse. The water cools down more slowly than the land. So, the cool air from the land moves towards the sea. This is called the land breeze. So, what do you mean by land breeze? The air from the land moves towards the sea. This is called land breeze. Next, about radiation. Already we said that heat can travel also through space or vacuum. That is how heat from the sun can reach us. Solar energy cannot reach to us by the process of conduction or convection, as there is no medium such as air in most part of the space between earth and sun. This process of heat transfer, which does not require any medium, is called radiation. So, radiation is a process in which heat transfer takes place without any medium. Many more examples of radiation can be seen in our daily life. During winter season, when you stand in front of a room heater or fireplace, you feel warm. How? In this case, conduction does not occur because air is poor conductor of heat. Convection is also not possible in this case because convection current arrives upwards and not sideways. Here you receive heat by a third way, which is called radiation. In radiation, heat is transmitted from one body to another in a straight line in all directions and at a very great speed. The sun, which is very hot, emits an enormous amount of radiant energy. All hot bodies radiate heat. This heat is called radiant heat or radiant energy. The amount of heat radiated by a hot body depends on its temperature, its color, and nature. What happens to radiant energy when it falls on an object, say a bicycle, tree, a person, or the soil? A part of it is reflected, a part of it gets absorbed, a part of it may be transmitted. Due to the absorbed part of the heat, the temperature of the object rises. How much of the radiant energy falling on an object is reflected and how much is absorbed depends on the color of the object and the nature of its surface. Shiny, smooth surfaces are better reflectors while dull, rough surfaces are better absorbers. You know that in summer we prefer light colored clothes and in winter we usually wear dark colored clothes. Why is it so? Light colored clothes reflect most of the heat that falls on them and therefore we feel more comfortable wearing them in the summer. Dark surfaces absorb more heat and therefore we feel comfortable with dark colored clothes in the winter. Okay, let us sum up what we studied today. heat flows from a body at a higher temperature to a body at a lower temperature. There are three ways in which heat can flow from one object to another. These are conduction, convection, and radiation. In solids, generally the heat is transferred by conduction. In fluids, that is liquids and gases, the heat is transferred by convection. No medium is required for transfer of heat by radiation. The materials which allow heat to pass through them easily are called conductors. The materials which do not allow heat to pass through them are called insulators.
And now, can you say some practical applications of conductors and insulators? You may have seen that the bottom of some cooking utensils are coated with copper. We know that copper is a good conductor of heat and heat can easily transfer to food. This is the practical application of good conductors of heat. And handles of some utensils are made up of insulators like bakelite and wood. This is the practical applications for insulators. Then coming to the practical applications of convection. You may have seen that ventilators and exhaust fans are usually near the ceilings of the room, isn't it? Because the air we breathe out is warmer and lighter than the normal air. So it rises up and escapes through these ventilators, and fresh and cold air come through windows. Then coming to the practical applications of radiations. We have discussed that during winter we wear dark colored clothes and during summer we wear light colored clothes. And you may have seen the base of some utensils are painted with a black color because it absorbs more heat and we can easily cook food. That's all for today's class. You should read your textbook thoroughly and watch this video more than one time. Okay, thank you.